Governments love to tell you they are working for your financial freedom. They talk about stability, growth, opportunity. But if you look closely at history, a darker pattern appears. Every time governments promise stability, ordinary people quietly lose wealth. This is not an accident, not a mistake, and not incompetence. It is a system refined over centuries, recycled under new names, and always designed for the same purpose: to move wealth upward and keep the majority dependent. Let's start with the oldest and simplest trick of all: inflation. When a government spends more than it can collect through taxes, it faces a choice. It can admit the truth and tax people openly, which is politically dangerous, or it can quietly reduce the value of the currency itself. Every coin, every banknote, every savings account slowly loses purchasing power. Ancient Rome mastered this tactic. In the 3rd century, emperors struggling with military costs began reducing the silver content of the denarius. What was once nearly pure silver became mostly copper, coated with a thin layer of silver. Officially, nothing had changed. In reality, inflation exploded, savings vanished, and wages fell behind prices. It was a silent tax on the population, and it worked. Today, the same trick exists, just with central banks instead of imperial mints. In the Middle Ages, governments refined the method with forced loans. Monarchs in England, France, and Spain pressured wealthy merchants and guilds to lend money to the crown. These loans were not voluntary. Refusal meant fines, confiscation, or imprisonment. Sometimes repayment was promised with interest, but repayment often arrived late in devalued currency or not at all. The state funded wars and palaces while merchants surrendered their capital. Coercion was disguised as duty, and the system survived for centuries. By the 17th century, finance itself became the trick. When Britain created the Bank of England in 1694, it was not an act of charity. It was a solution to war debt. Wealthy investors bought government bonds, and the crown guaranteed interest payments funded by taxes. On paper, it looked fair. In reality, ordinary people paid taxes on basic goods like salt, beer, and cloth to fund secure returns for the wealthy. Lending to governments became the safest investment in the world, guaranteed by the labor and consumption of the masses. This pattern still defines modern finance. Fast forward to today, and the tricks are everywhere. Governments run massive deficits and issue bonds bought by banks, funds, and foreign investors. Politicians claim the money funds infrastructure, jobs, and social programs. Yet, much of it flows into defense contracts, corporate subsidies, and bailouts. When repayment time comes, spending at the top is rarely cut. Instead, taxes rise, currencies inflate, and social benefits shrink. The debt appears public, but the burden is private, while profits flow upward to bondholders. Then there are bailouts. In 2008, banks made reckless bets, packaged toxic mortgages, and nearly collapsed the global economy. When the system failed, ordinary taxpayers paid through massive government bailouts. The same institutions that caused the crisis emerged larger and more powerful than before. Profits were privatized, losses were socialized, and the public was told there was no alternative. Pension systems follow the same logic. For decades, people paid into government-managed retirement programs, believing their money was saved. In reality, most governments spent the money immediately and replaced it with promises. Future taxpayers were expected to cover the cost. This worked until populations aged and the system became unsustainable. Then benefits were reduced, retirement ages raised, or payouts quietly eroded through inflation. The mechanism stayed the same, only the language changed. At every stage, perception is the key. Inflation is called growth. Forced loans are called duty. National debt is called investment. Bailouts are called stability. Pension cuts are called reform. The language hides a consistent transfer of wealth from the many to the few. And it works because most people do not study economic history or understand how financial systems actually function. In recent decades, the tricks have grown more sophisticated. Quantitative easing allowed central banks to create trillions of dollars to stabilize markets. Asset prices surged. Stocks, real estate, and bonds rose sharply. but the majority of those assets were owned by the wealthy. For ordinary households, the benefits were minimal, while living costs increased. Money creation protected the system at the top while deepening inequality below. Stealth taxation completes the picture. Instead of raising income taxes directly, governments rely on sales taxes, fuel duties, and inflation itself. When prices rise faster than wages, purchasing power disappears. Governments benefit because inflation reduces the real value of their debts. Citizens lose because savings and income fall behind. This is not a flaw in the system. It is the system. Regulation plays its role as well. Laws are presented as protection, but powerful industries often shape the rules meant to control them. Railroads, oil companies, banks, and tech giants have all influenced regulators to secure profits and suppress competition. Owning the referee is easier than winning the game. War finance follows the same pattern. Governments issue bonds during conflicts, framing purchases as patriotic duty. Ordinary citizens believe they are supporting their country, while wealthy investors gain risk-free returns guaranteed by future taxes. Wars end, the debt remains. Complexity itself has become a weapon. Tax codes stretch thousands of pages. Financial instruments are intentionally opaque. Budgets hide transfers behind technical language. When systems are too complex to understand, resistance becomes impossible. Why does this matter now? Because these tricks are accelerating. Inflation erodes savings. Debt grows. Bailouts remain the default response. Central banks continue manipulating money supply. The result is a system designed to extract more labor for less real wealth while concentrating power at the top. History delivers a simple warning. The mechanisms never disappear. They evolve. Rome, medieval kingdoms, and modern states all relied on the same financial tricks. Most people never escape them because they do not recognize them. Ignorance is the most powerful tool of all. If you understand the tricks, you are harder to control. Financial education is resistance. Economic history is a weapon. The only question is whether you recognize the pattern before it repeats itself again.